We're going to be breaking down the playoff picture for the Detroit Lions on all fronts. We're going to talk about the odds of them winning the division as well as just making it as a wild card. We're going to go through the games and the opponents, all of that and more. That's what this video is all about. So get locked in and let's get this thing started right now. Before we break down the playoff picture, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 100,000, and we are less than 2,000 away. With your help, it can happen. Right now in the NFC North, the Chicago Bears is the top of this division with a 9-3-1 record. Chicago Bears sitting at 9-4, the Lions at 8-5, and the Minnesota Vikings at 5-8. Bringing up the rear. Now, in regards to this video, we're predominantly going to be talking about the Green Bay Packers, Chicago Bears, and obviously Lions. The Vikings have a shot to make the playoffs. They're the 11th seed. The odds are nearly doomed to zero. So we're just going to go ahead and assume they're out of it because they really are. It's going to be hard for the Lions to win the division because we lost twice to Green Bay. We've been swept, so they own the tiebreaker. That's something that we must understand. If you're trying to win the division, you got to have a whole game ahead of Green Bay, and that's going to be tough to do, and we're going to break that down in a second. But before we do that, the Lions got to win this Sunday if you're wanting to win the division. If you say they have to win the division, they got to win on Sunday, and right now they're underdogs against the best team who I believe in football in the Rams. Total over under is 55.5. It's going to be a game of games. But look, I don't think it's a must-win for the Lions to make the playoffs, but it's a must-win for the Lions to win the division. So who do you got winning the game? You have the Lions winning, let me know. If you have the Rams winning, put R in the comments below. So let's go ahead and look at the odds right now. Statistically for the Detroit Lions, we're trailing a game and a half back, right, from the Green Bay Packers, and we have a 56% odds of making the playoffs with an 8% chance of winning the division. That's not a high chance of winning the division, and the reason why is because the rest of the NFC North is good in their schedule. I have Green Bay winning the division. I just got to keep it up front. But who knows? Maybe they lose to the Broncos. They lose to the Bears. Maybe the Ravens come in there, beat them. We've seen it before. It's possible. I have that extremely low. I have Green Bay potentially going 2-2 or 3-1, and that pretty much would lock it up for the Packers if they beat the Bears. But it's tough to win the division or even taking a wild card spot away from Green Bay because of, again, they swept us. They have the tiebreaker, so that's going to be something difficult. But before we break down the Bears, a shout out to a sponsor of today's video. I love Lions victories a lot, but I also absolutely love Omaha Steaks. One of my favorites, man. I love Omaha Steaks, and we got the holidays coming up, and I got to tell you what, I'm going to be late giving some Christmas presents out, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to send them some steaks. That's the best way to do it for me. Get that gifts out there. They're happy. Yahoo. Look, they're my go-to option for holiday dinners, and they are the perfect gift for Christmas. And I'm a huge fan of what they do. From holiday hostings to unforgettable gifts, Omaha Steaks delivers the world's best steak experience. Give family and friends USDA certified tender steaks, juicy burgers, and cozy and convenient comfort meals, and so much more. Our listeners get an extra $35 off with promo code LIONS at checkout. Omaha Steaks offers unrivaled quality and a variety of every bite that is backed by their 100% guarantee. Every steak is perfectly aged to maximize tenderness and hand-cut by master butchers in America's heartland. Omaha Steaks delivers an exclusive lineup of USDA-certified tender steaks and their fan-favorite filet mignon that has achieved the distinction of USDA-certified very tender. So save big on gourmet gifts and more holiday favorites with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off They're site-wide during their Sizzle All the Way sale. And for an extra $35 off, use promo code LIONS at checkout. Terms that apply, see site for details. That's omahasteaks.com, code LIONS. Link is going to be in the description and comment section of this video. So look, it's possible for the Lions to win the division, but extremely unlikely because of the Packers. Let's go to the Bears. This is where the Lions have an option to make the postseason, in my opinion. You look at the Bears' remaining schedule, and it's a little bit tougher than I believe the Packers' schedule is. The Browns have been playing better as of late, and I know they just lost the Titans, but we know their defense is really good, and Shedeur is starting to pick up. I'm not saying they're going to win that game, but it's not going to be a gimme. And I do believe that the Packers are going to beat the Chicago Bears. The Packers, to me, are the better football team. Then they have to go to San Francisco 49ers, who are looking amazing right now and who can't stop the run. So look, that's the path for the Detroit Lions. Week 18, right there. So let's go to the Lions schedule. So remember, Lions are 8-5. The Bears are 9-4. So if the Bears lose to the Packers, say they win to the Browns, they're 10-4. They lose to the Packers, they're 10-5. They lose to the 49ers, they're 10-6. Guess what that means? Right there, division on the line, or no, wild card on the line for the Detroit Lions. That's what that means. So I got a question for you. Will the Lions make the playoffs? Let's get into the Lions schedule, but let me know why for yes and for no. You look at the schedule again, just like we were looking at the Bears here. At Rams, that's going to be the difficult one. I have the Lions losing that game. That would put them at 8-6. I have the Lions beating the Steelers at 9-6. I have the Lions beating the Vikings at 10-6. And guess what, folks? That means Week 18 would be for a wild card spot. So even if the Lions lose this Sunday, odds are they just got to win out from there. And that final game is literally a playoff game. It's just like a couple years ago in, 22, where we were facing the Packers, but we beat them. There's other teams that could potentially get in a wild card spot. These aren't it, though. Atlanta Falcons have been eliminated. The Cardinals have been eliminated. Saints, Commanders, and Giants. And by this weekend, it should be the Vikings will probably be eliminated. But here is the remaining teams. Okay. So the Lions don't officially hold their own way into the playoffs, but it's pretty darn close that they do. Right? Because I just showed you the way with Chicago. But I think it's going to be difficult for the other teams. I think it's a lock for the Rams, Packers, Eagles, Buccaneers, Seahawks, San Francisco. I think they're all locks. I think there's one left, and that's that final spot. But we got to have a rooting guide for this weekend, right? There's going to be a lot of games going on this weekend, and we need to be rooting for the Raiders to upset the Eagles. It's probably not going to happen, right? But we've seen crazier things. Browns over the Bears. Absolutely, that's what we're rooting for here. That's the biggest one. Everyone needs to be a Brown fan on Sunday. Shedeur all the way to pull off that win. We need it, man. We need Myles Garrett to break the record. Titans over the 49ers. That ain't happening. 49ers are that's what I said. The 49ers schedule is making them go in. The Colts over the Seahawks. Phillip Rivers, 44 years old. Over Seattle, who's been killer. That's tough. Tough to swallow. Then you have the Broncos over the Packers. And yes, we are absolutely rooting for the Broncos. And they're a good team. This is a situation where the Detroit Lions could get lucky here, because I think the Broncos could beat the Packers. So do you got the Lions making the playoffs? What do you guys think? Why for yes and for no? All in all, the Lions still have a really good shot getting into the playoffs, even if we lose on this Sunday. So a lot of people saying it's a must win, must win, must win. No, not to make it to the playoffs. It's not a must win. To win the division, I would say it's a must win. That would be because they would have to be above the Packers, whom they swept. So the Lions have a legit shot, folks. We have a legit shot. The Lions will be favored versus the Steelers. They'll be favored, even though we lost the Vikings. They should be favored there. And I don't know if they'll be favored the final week. But if the Lions handle business versus the Steelers and Vikings, they have a shot for the playoffs. In that final Week 18 at Chicago, Ben Johnson, Dan Campbell. And then that game will be thrown into prime time because it is the teacher versus student. So, yes, we want the Lions to win this Sunday, and oh man, it's a huge game, all of that. But it's not over if they lose on Sunday. It's not over. And we'll see what happens. You know, the NFL this season with the playoffs is crazy. You have, teams that start out really well and they fell off a little bit, like the Colts. The Eagles are starting to fall off now a little bit. You're seeing a move of teams like the Panthers that are starting to try to win their division, and obviously the NFC North, where there's 3 really good teams right now in there. It's going to be crazy. It's going to come down to the wire. That's what the NFL is about, and it's not going to be any different this year. With that said, folks, adios.